This is Power Trading Radio Live. Power Trading Radio Live, fueled by Online Trading Academy. For more information on the show, visit us online at powertradingradio.com. Now, here's your host, Merlin Rothfeld.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Power Trading Radio. I'm Merlin Rothfeld with you for your Thursday edition. An exciting Thursday. Yes, I think there was some stuff today that made it much more exciting than the last few trading sessions, even though at the end of the day the numbers weren't that great. There was still some wonderful industry and sector news, which I'll get to as we progress. Guest for the show today is going to be Mike McMahon, longtime instructor and trader, Online Trading Academy. Goes all the way back to my one of my first instructor experiences. I actually think it was 1998. I actually taught Mike McMahon. I know I didn't teach him anything. He knew what he was doing, but he was in my class as a student. Then he got on to do great things, was the educational leader for Online Trading Academy for quite some time. So we'll talk about content. I think we'll talk mainly about kind of the major market drivers right now. I got some great questions that come in about different market assets. Heath out in San Francisco, you want to know about Disney Plus. Kind of interesting one. I've had a couple people ask me about that, specifically because The Mandalorian. But we'll look at it from maybe an investment decision or investment choice here going forward. So we'll look at that. If you have questions for us, feel free to send them on in at powertradingradio.com and click that Power Blast button anytime that you like through today's show, or actually 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you can do it. Those questions will come to us here in the studio as Heath's and Goldilocks and Mike's question came in, and I'll get to all those on today's show. Or you could join in our discussion. Of course, we've got Unscammable, we got Ruben out there as well, and I'm sure Brendan will be joining us here shortly, and of course Dave on the Trading Academy's YouTube page. And Oliver, welcome back, Oliver. You've been traveling around. I haven't seen you much at all. And hello, Gayer and Dana as well. Dave, what instructor, who's your instructor right now, and what center are you at there, Dave? I'm curious to see who your instructor is right now. All right, let's go into our top 7 markets. We'll start from the bottom, work our way up to the top. It was an ugly day for cryptocurrencies, which breached, for me, a very important level. That level for Bitcoin was 8,000, and we've kind of been bouncing on that for quite some time. And TJ will bring up a chart here and show you that one. It ripped down below it today, and you can see that once it did, it really started a quick free fall here, all the way down to 6,000, that'd be a huge drop. I think I might have scared some people out at home. 7,607 is the end number there, down about 5.72%. You can see there's that 8,000 mark, and as soon as it broke through the 8,000, just big drops to the downside. It has stabilized, but still not that great for Bitcoin on the day. Now, that, again, is your worst performer, down 461 points, or $461 per Bitcoin. Ouch. But that's your worst performer by a long, long margin. We get a lot better when we start looking at gold. Here's GC. Now, it was not a pretty day. You can see a fairly ugly red candle on the gold futures out here today. Really nothing going into supply, so it was just I'm not going to say a one-off event, but it wasn't really caused by any supply levels out there. 0.66% slide, 1464 is where gold ended up with. That was almost a $10 slide per ounce of gold on the day, making it number 6. All right, now we get slightly better out there. Russell 2000, as you guys will recall from yesterday, we kind of changed that bear flag into more of just sideways consolidation, and here you can see the Russell 2000 right near the bottom of that little purple, magenta, pink box that TJ drew on the screen. He likes to use those colors because I'm colorblind. It kind of tortures me. But you can see it right near the bottom, actually closing. Zoom in, TJ, so we can see it. Closing pretty much at the bottom end of this box, which would be the low from about a week ago. We have a couple more little lows here, and then it looks like it could be a fairly quick drop all the way down to, let's call it 1560 and change. On the day, Russell was down 0.48%, a 7-point slide to 1583, showing a lot more weakness than the other indexes out there. All right, number 4 brings us to the NASDAQ. The old NQ is what we're going to show you. The composite on the day was down 0.24%, so having the losses of the Russell. NASDAQ composite, much better, but still negative. 8,506 is where we closed, a slide of 20 points. Technically, not that great. We talked about how this pullback yesterday came right back down into this area. I'm not going to say of demand because to me that's just sideways consolidation, and we can make the argument it's demand because it held there, but there's nothing really powerful here that would lead me to believe it's going to bounce back up. And today we have this kind of narrowing, compressed range, a little different than what we saw over the past couple of weeks, which is a long bottoming tail. Today we had a bigger topping tail, which doesn't necessarily indicate anything dramatically bad, but I might want to put some lines on this chart here, TJ. Go across the lows. Yeah, you could use a low yesterday. Perfect. So if you're looking for that NQ, you do see some weakness. As soon as we get below, let's call it 82.25, there's a considerable amount of move to the downside that this thing could move. So just keep an eye open. If you got some long positions out there, you might want to be slightly more defensive because this could be that pullback that you're looking for as a buying opportunity. The question is, where does it ultimately stop? Although, look, it's only 2 down days. It's not that big of a deal, but it's once it gets past some of these more key levels, then it may become a bigger issue out there. But right now, you had the composite down 0.24% of the day. Even the S&P, which took 3rd place today, had, well, we'll say a similar picture, right? We came ripping back down into that sideways consolidation yesterday. We could do the same thing with a little line here on the chart, kind of drop below where we were for these last 2 days. If we get down below that, again, I think you can see that there is probably a good amount of free fall for it to get down to maybe 3,036, somewhere in there. There may be some stopping points along the way if we to break this up into maybe hourly time frames. But right now, it's still not bad. It's just let's put in little circuit breakers for ourselves that if it does do this, then okay, we might be looking for short trades or protection and looking to buy back in and join this trend as it takes a little bit of a breather, which I think has been long overdue. So that was number 3, down 0.16% on the S&P 500. 3,103 is where the S&P closed at, a slide of just under 5 points. All right, top 2 it is. And these are nice gainers today. The yields, bring me up that NZ 10-year note futures contract, TJ. All right, we've been ripping up. We're actually coming right towards this area of supply that we saw going back to November 1st. Treasury yields today rose almost 2%, 1.96 on the day to 1.77. Of course, when that happens, you can see that red candle came right up, broke some highs, and then just sold off, almost erasing all of yesterday's gains with regards to that 10-year note. So that inverse relationship in full effect right now, and a lot of people believe that what was supply right here could become demand. We'll see how this thing bounces, or if it does bounce at all, on tomorrow's session. But that was number 2 with a yield with an increase of 1.96. Now we do have a 2%er. Crude oil, hallelujah. It has been so volatile lately. It's been crazy. I love these big moves. These are neck breakers out here. We have had 4 monster moves for crude oil in back-to-back days. So really this week showing tons of volatility, completely negating and erasing. That little box there, no longer of value. Get rid of it. Move on. You had crude oil up 2.3%. That's coming on the heels of a pretty significant day yesterday as well. 58.32 is where we had crude oil close at, a gain of 2.3% on the day, or $1.31 per barrel. So not too shabby for anybody who was holding long on crude oil, but that, kind of a crazy one. Okay, that will do it for our top 7 market indexes. Crude oil taking the trophy today, as it has for the last couple of days. We'll see if it continues, because as it starts to move up here, there's some potential for it to rally all the way up towards that $64 mark, which could be a pretty nice run for crude oil. All right. Let me go to some listener questions. I've had quite a few here recently, and let's see which one I want to go into. I'm going to go to Tim's because I don't talk about this one too much on the show. Cryptocurrencies. Obviously, we've seen the slide of them giving back a lot of the gains. Certainly earlier on in the year, some of these cryptocurrencies were much higher. I think Litecoin, you're up at about 150. Now it's trading around that $50 mark. So there's been a significant decline in the value of these things. Begs the question, are they buying opportunities? Tim said, what are your thoughts on cryptocurrencies right now? I'm looking at Litecoin and Ethereum, so I thought, why not? We'll bring those up here. TJ had that Litecoin chart ready. So here's your chart of Litecoin, and I'm just zooming out so you guys get a sense of the overall issues that have happened with Litecoin. Of course, you can go back in November of 2017 and see that thing hit almost $400 per coin. Yeah, that's that point you just kind of wish you unloaded and sold your whole position, didn't you? Well, I did not. Luckily, I got out on my Bitcoin, but I held some other ones. So let's forget about that 2017 spike for a little bit, TJ, and zoom in to more recent times. Now, we've had this question, and it doesn't matter what instrument this is or what asset this is, that chart right there would lead me to believe that the higher probability for me to make money playing a directional trade on this would be to the south side and be going short. Why? Because that trend from June has been pretty much nothing but down, right? It's been just straight down periscope, a couple big pops, but really showing more and more weakness. Now, the question that I think Tim has, and it's a good one, at what point do we think things are going to turn? We can make the same argument for that MJ chart, right? For marijuana stocks today and yesterday looking really good. Of course, a lot of that is driven by a major announcement, which we'll talk about in today's show. But you have this kind of double bottom right here, right? You have price on Litecoin coming right back into this demand zone from right around, what day is that, TJ? October 23rd, 24th, right in the middle of our conference. Isn't that convenient? And it begs the question, is that a buying opportunity? Certainly it could be, Tim. I think it's what you what you feel for that specific investment vehicle. I still feel that because Bitcoin broke down below that 8,000 mark, that there could be more downside movement here. It's just been such a psychological support level for the whole industry. I think we may see this drift down even more. The bottom line is, look, if you are trading or investing in Litecoin, you got to have a stop loss below here, because right now it does feel like it's going to drop lower. I mean, you could very easily, in very short order, find yourself at that $45 mark, which would be a demand level going back into March. But there's also some more down below that, right? A more powerful level is going to be right around that $33 mark. Well, that's a significant distance from where we are right now. So I'd be very careful with that one if you are taking it. Ethereum has a very similar picture, guys. Here's your Ethereum chart. To me, it's not as powerful if you're going to use it as a demand zone because it's hit so many times. Although the selling pressure, the trajectory of that specific one doesn't look as bad as some of the others. So not too bad for Ethereum and Litecoin. But I would just be careful if you are buying those. Make sure you have a tight stop loss on them, because if they break, they could see some much bigger downside movement. Okay, that will do it for our opening segment. Tim, thank you for that question. Overall, I am a fan. I think you guys all know this by now. I am a fan of cryptocurrencies. It's just about when to buy. I'm more of a buy and hold guy on these ones. I do own Ethereum. I do own Litecoin. I do own Bitcoin. I do own Ripple. I own a bunch of them. But that is a long-term play for me. Okay, let's take a quick break. We come back. I'm going to have Mike McMahon on the program. Mike and I will talk about, I don't know, whatever you guys want to talk about. I know that we've had a couple questions on cannabis stocks. We've had questions on gold. We have questions on Disney Plus, which is an interesting one. So maybe we'll dive into some of those. If you have questions for us, send them on in at powertradingradio.com by clicking that Power Blast button, or you can go to our YouTube channels under Online Trading Academy as well as Power Trading Radio and join the discussions over there. Of course, if you ever want to know anything about trading and investing and how we can help change your financial future, you can always click that link at powertradingradio.com that says free class. Until then, we'll be right back after a short break.
There are lots of different reasons why I teach. I know what it's like from the beginning because I was a student here. I love going around the classroom and you get those aha moments where, you know, slowly those light bulbs switch on as the week unfolds, and for me it's magical.
I've been telling students for years that I derive professional satisfaction from sharing my knowledge about trading. I grew up on the floor of the Board of Trade. My father was my first mentor.
I like to see people run, and in order for them to run, they need to walk well first. And for me to help them build a solid foundation and then watch them go forward, that's something that money can't buy.
What these people are now realizing is the freedom that they have always wanted to achieve. And it's a quite humbling and honorable experience to be able to know that in some small way I contributed to them.
The students make the academy. And I meet wonderful people from all walks of life, and they always have a story to tell. And the story is always interesting.
Being able to explain things in a way where the light bulb goes off, and that gives me the chills. It's a wonderful experience to see that growth in somebody else and that you're a part of that. It's magic.
The students, I really want to enable them to bypass the challenges that everybody goes through.
There is rather a selfish aspect, and that selfish aspect is I have found more of me as a person. Just a self-discovery.
And in every class that I teach, I get to share my knowledge, and I get to see each and every one of my students learn how to trade in a bull market and in a bear market and even in a sideways market. And each time I see that student of mine take that first trade, it's such a rewarding experience. It's awesome.
Welcome back to Power Trading Radio Live and your host, Merlin Rothfeld, with today's special guest.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Power Trading Radio. It is your Thursday edition. I had to reach out to a friend of mine today because I was thinking, you know what, there's a lot of things that I want to talk about. I've been seeing a lot of emails go back and forth internally talking about different topics. I thought some of these are really interesting topics as well. Goes a long way back with this guest we have today. Mr. Mike McMahon is joining us today. Mike, how you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing really fine.
Good to have you with that. Thanks for the short notice coming on the program today. Appreciate it.
Hey, always happy to help, and I like being on.
We love when you're on. You know what? I saw some of the things going back and forth, and there were a couple questions from viewers out there today. So I thought, you know what? Why don't we talk about that? Obviously, there was a major thing with Disney Plus, and it seems to be the talk du jour, especially with The Mandalorian, which I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for all 8 episodes to be released, and then I'm going to do my 7-day subscription free trial, and then binge watch the whole thing, so I don't have to pay anything for it. But hey, that's how I roll, man. I think I'm going to get wrapped up watching a bunch of Disney movies. I don't have kids. My dog doesn't mind. He'll watch, the Animal Channel. He's fine. Heath in San Francisco says, with the introduction of Disney Plus, does this make Disney stock an attractive buy? And I had that chart up here earlier. Maybe TJ can bring that one back up. Here's Disney on a daily basis. And I just want to get your take on it. I know you've been following the news. Do you think that this is a game changer for Disney stock as a price? And what are your overall thoughts?
Okay, it's a game changer for the industry. I don't know that it's so specific for Disney. I mean, if you look at the pattern, we've had this news coming. Okay, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It happened. They, of course, blew the computer up or whatever on the first release date. Okay, but the thing's just been hovering in this 140 to 150 range. Okay, for the last 5-7 days. And we'll see if it's really going to help. Disney pricing is going to be their subscription load. But this is the doomsday bell, okay, for cable and probably satellite as well, because everybody is switching to subscription-based entertainment.
Yeah.
Pick what you want and watch what you want for the same price or less than you're paying for bundles.
Right, but here I think this is it's funny because we've almost gone too far to the extreme. So it used to be, I had to buy what was the old network I had? Gosh, I can't even remember anymore. I had DirecTV, which was an absolute ripoff. I spent $170 a month for DirecTV, and I had 800 channels. 300 channels were Vietnamese. I couldn't understand a darn thing they were saying. A lot of these channels, I'm never going to watch this type of programming and infomercial garbage. So there's only a handful of them. So I finally cut the cord. And while there's one show that I probably would want to watch on Disney, other than Ruben's movie, apparently he's got a movie coming out there, so I'll be sure to watch that one, Ruben. But make it part of my 7-day free trial subscriptions. I don't have to buy Disney Plus. So yes, you're right, Mike. We can go out there. We can start to pick these things. So I can go find different, media distributors that I like. But now they're starting to fragment. So I got to buy this one. I got to buy this one. I got to buy that one. I got to get Netflix. I got to get Amazon Prime, and I got to get Disney Plus. Next thing you know, I'm right back up to $170 a month. So I almost feel like they're hurting themselves by fragmenting so much this network. I mean, of course, for Disney,
but at least you got what you want. You don't have 200 foreign language channels.
Well, I think I still have those. I've got Netflix now. I made the move this weekend, which is terrible decision for me to go to Netflix because now I'm just going to be totally antisocial and binge watch a bunch of stuff that will probably not help my life in any way, shape, or form. But let's talk about the prices. To me, this is a case for Heath out there in San Francisco. He says, with the introduction of Disney Plus, does this make Disney stock an attractive buy? I believe it does. I think what we have to pay attention to are market mantras, right? We have a mantra, what we'll be talking more about here next month, which is the Santa Claus rally. And then you got, as goes January, so goes the rest of the year. There's another one that's very simple, which says, buy the rumor, sell the news. And I don't know when this announcement first came out. My guess is it came out a while back. But the news is out on this. Disney Plus is released. And you see the big spike. I mean, we jumped from 130 all the way up to 150 on this price chart. So you're teetering. Go out, TJ, on this chart. Go out to a monthly. I just want to see all the history of Disney. Yeah, so you're beyond all-time highs. I mean, you are screaming up to all-time highs. So I would have to say no, Heath. This doesn't make this stock an attractive buy. I think it may help the bottom line at some point, but I think it's already so overpriced right now that it would be attractive at a pullback. Is it attractive at 130? Is it attractive at 115? Yes, I think there are different levels, but I certainly would not be buying at 147 right now.
I would agree with you 1,000%, although my numbers are a little different. I look at that gap at about 134 and say, hey, anywhere in that neck of the woods, and I do think that Disney Plus will help the stock price appreciate from there.
Sure.
Okay, but I agree with you. I think we're a little overcooked. even though we are kind of in a bull flag here, a bull pennant on the daily, how much further can it jump until there's actual news? And that's what Mom, until after Christmas, after the next earnings, we find out how many people signed up.
Mike,
then we'll know.
Absolutely. It's kind of funny. This industry also preys off people who are lazy, and I apologize if I sound overly condescending, but if I were to watch the Disney Network, I am literally watching it for one thing and one thing only. I want to see The Mandalorian. I'm not interested in watching Fantasia again. I don't care about Lady and the Tramp, or it's not for me. I know some other viewers would be like, oh my gosh, Lady and the Tramp's best movie ever. I want to watch
Fantasia.
Fantasia's pretty damn good for when it was done. But I want to buy into it as a media channel, get what I want out of it, and then get out. So what I do is I will use the trial period or cancel right after I'm done. For example, I'm a big Game of Thrones fan. I know we have a lot of viewers out here who are big Game of Thrones fans. When they came out with their final season, look, I logged in just for the period of time that series was on and cut it immediately after without paying anything. The only way I think that this would be long-standing benefit for Disney is if you have families with children who are really committing and saying, okay, I'll pay $13 a month, or people who don't forget to cancel their subscription, because I have a lot of friends who are just watching it for the Mandalorian because they're Star Wars nuts, and they're going to just, once they watch it, they're canceling it. And if they forget, then yeah, this might be good for Disney's revenue going forward. But I think it's buy the rumor, sell the news, and buy a dip.
I really believe it's going to be the children watching whatever.
Yeah.
5 times. Okay.
Yeah. Well, so there you go, Heath. I'm not saying a track to buy. I do think Disney Plus was probably a great idea for Disney, given all of the content. And let's be honest, a lot of their stuff is absolutely fantastic. I not to belittle Disney's quality. It's just as a grown man, I don't see Lady and the Tramp high on my list of things to watch. But it's not just that type of stuff anymore. Disney bought Star Wars and is part of, I think, Marvel as well. So they've got a great stable of videos. So why not put it behind their paywall and make some revenue off it? The key is it going to keep pushing up? I'd wait for a pullback. I think you need to let the dust settle here a little bit. We'll find out exactly how much subscriptions have popped for Disney on their next earnings announcement, which I'll let you know after the break when earnings announcements is. All right. What else is of interest for you, Mike? Anything noteworthy would you like to discuss?
Well, of course, we're in the midst of the political tantrum that we call politics around here, but the real net result of it is the trade war.
Yeah.
Okay, and this on again, off again. I love you, I hate you. I love you, I hate you.
Right.
Well, I'm watching. We just cut the dollar. Okay, we just cut interest rates again, and the dollar's rising. We're up on the Dixie up to around 98.3, and I'm going. Wait a minute, we should be devaluing it, but everybody's going, what is going on? I mean, we can't play this game, okay, with foreign countries. These people are not monopoly pieces, okay?
Right.
At some point, they're going to say, put up or shut up. And they've already done that by going to South America for their soybeans and sugars and stuff like that. So we're putting ourselves in a real box here.
Yeah, but I mean, look, the viewers have heard me say this one before. I firmly believe, and I'll argue this one until I'm blue in the face, that this is all one gigantic reality TV show play to pull the quote-unquote Trump card right before elections. This will all disappear. Hey, everything's honky-dory, and look what I did. I resolved all these trade issues right before the election. So I think it's more of a media stunt than it is actually looking at the interest of trade, but I'm more of a cynic when it comes to that. And I do agree with you. I do think it's damaging looking at some of the trade numbers, also look at some of the manufacturing data. You are seeing things weaken a little bit, but to be honest, this market's at all-time highs, Mike. It's really kind of hard to point the finger at it and say it's been bad because the equity prices have continued to go up and up and up, which, of course, bodes well for the current administration, saying, look, I'm doing this trade war. See how good it's doing for America.
Well, I agree with you. I agree that this is just a political tactic, and you wonder why we're at all-time highs? Well, let's see. We'll put in our own Fed. Then we'll scream at them to cut, make everything cheap. Oh, by the way, did we pour a gallon of gasoline on it in 2018 with the tax, or 2017 with the tax cut?
Yeah.
Did we? amp everything up, and then, and only then, did we say, China's got to put up or shut up and give us our money back. And then we'll make the deal. No, we won't. Yes, we will. No, we won't. Yes, we will.
You know, Mike, I threw this out there a long time ago, and I got some heat from some viewers because he was like saying, "Oh, you're calling Trump an insider trader and a liar." Let me just state real quick that this doesn't matter who the current president is. If it was a Democrat, I'd say the exact same thing. If it was a Republican, I'd say the exact same thing. But we've never had a president who uses a social media platform like Twitter as much as President Trump. And I was like, man, I tell you what, I could easily manipulate this market so easily and make ungodly amounts of money because if all I had to do was issue a tweet, when did that happen? Was that Tuesday, Monday morning? That says, you know, the phase one trade plan might not happen, or it has problems. I know that's instantly going to drop the market 1% at least. And all I have to do is go to my cronies and I'll tell them that there's a special word. You know, you and I talked on the trading floor years ago about this, and it's interesting how this happens. I'll give you guys some backstory. Major trading firms have their phone conversations recorded. They're not allowed to talk to other brokerage firms. They're not allowed to collude and work together to influence price. And I was on the floor of an institution, and I've learned that if you want to let people drop their guard down, you act like you're an idiot. And I acted like I was some 28-year-old moron on this trading floor, and I said, "Oh, yeah, do you guys, do you talk to the brokerage firm?" The guy goes, "No." And I kept asking him, and he says, "Oh, yeah, well, they don't monitor our Messenger, Yahoo Messengers that they had." And he was using Messenger to send messages back and forth. So all phone conversations were recorded, but they could sit there on Messenger and say, "Hey, I'm unloading the stock. Let's take it down." They can do that type of thing. And all I'd have to do, let's say I became president of the United States. God forbid Merlin Rothschild should ever be president of the United States. But I went to you, Mike, and I said, "Hey, listen, anytime I tweet the word sunshine, buy the market with everything you have. And every time I tweet the word I gotta use something. Huge. I use the word huge, then sell everything you got and short it. Because within the next 24 hours, I'm going to make an announcement like, okay, I just tweeted out sunshine on Tuesday. Wednesday, I come out and say, well, we've reached a trade deal on phase one and phase two with China. What's going to happen to the market? Up 3-4% probably right away. You made a ton of money, and now I get to use your house in the Hamptons or get rich off of it. I don't know why there isn't more investigation into this type of thing, because these tweets are clearly manipulating the market, and you know that there's people doing exactly this, because if it's that simple, and it is, I know that this industry is going to be corrupt and taking advantage of it. So,
well, we both know that way too well.
Yeah.
I mean, all you have to do is go to SEC settlements today, SEC settlements today, and you'll see who's paying $500 million for collusion, who's paying this, and it's all settlements. They're never found guilty.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
And so, of course, it's a game. And, of course, these people, I mean, this is how we got started with Online Trading Academy, was opening in the transparency to these guys.
Yeah.
If you're not direct access, you're in trouble.
Right. Well, it's something that won't be eliminated from the industry at all. I'll give you guys another story. When I was living in Italy, I saw in the last 5 minutes of a trading day, volume was like 100 times normal on some little stock. And I saw it come across on a screener saying, hey, abnormal volume. It was massive, probably the last 15 minutes of the market. And I'm looking at it going, man, somebody knows something. Sure enough, the next morning at 9 a.m., they made an official press release that Sony was buying this company. And I actually wrote to the SEC, ended up calling them multiple times to no avail, finally got a hold of somebody on the phone. And let's just say I was not very friendly. I was throwing all kinds of obscenities to this guy saying, listen, you're not even doing your freaking job. I have a clear example of insider trading here. There's no argument that this is insider trading. He's like, well, what I need you to do is document everything and send it over to me, and I need pictures and screenshots and texts and emails. And so you want me to do your job? I mean, they can't catch the low-lying fruit. They're never going to catch these guys who are tweeting out like this.
They're all ex-Goldman Sachs. I shouldn't say that.
You might not want to say that. But, yeah, there's definitely connections out there. I was going to take a commercial break, but forget it. We're going to go straight through. Yeah, Johnny says tweet something and it shoots up or it tanks. Only the President of the United States could do this. Sure. And again, it doesn't matter that it's a Republican or a Democrat. It's just that being in that powerful of a position is very interesting, and I almost feel like there should be some rule that our elected leader should not be allowed to use a social media platform like this, but maybe I'm wrong. Let's talk about weed. This is a big one. You know, we've been talking about this for a while, and I've got almost every day questions about MJ. I am big on the industry. I'm big on the prospects for legal, recreational, medicinal, and for me mainly the hemp industry. I think is probably the biggest one for me. But that MJ ETF has just been murdered. Everyone's like, when do you buy? When do you buy? When do you buy? I said, when it finally turns around, when it finally stops falling. Now, of course, over the last couple of days, we've seen this one, which is an index of a lot of different cannabis stocks, jump from 16 to roughly $19. Of course, we know that's coming on the heels of a major announcement where it looks like the feds are going to pass at one point, I doubt it'll get all the way through Congress, the legalization of marijuana on a federal level. Love to get your take on that because I know you've been following that story.
Well, it has to happen. There cannot be this 50-state individual routines and then an opposing federal law.
Right.
Okay? Either they work for us or we work for them. And theoretically, they work for us. So the answer is that the Fed really does have to change and legalize it. Maybe they'll have to have some limited quantities or other qualifiers, okay? But so that we have at least a baseline that the states can operate above, alrighty? But yeah, it's the biggest problem right now, of course, is the black market. Look at what's happening with all these poor people in the vapors, the vaping
right.
Deaths, okay? And it's all either THC or CBD driven, okay, from what I've seen on, the medical shows.
Yeah. So do you think it's going to happen? Do you think that this? I mean, let's not talk about in time, because I think we would all agree that over the course of the next decade or 20 years, it'll probably be legal. I mean, obviously the Fed wants to make some money on this. But let's talk about.
It won't happen until we have till the next election and further down.
Yeah.
So I'm saying 2 years if we get a change in the administration, and there's no way that a Republican is going to go down that road easily, and certainly Trump isn't. So my only hope for the country and the stability of law-abiding citizens would be to have a independent or Democrat into the White House.
Well, we'll see how all things change. I mean, I think from a legalization perspective, I agree with you. I don't think it'll happen until after 2020. I think it's just too big of an issue. But the good news, and I think this is good news for everybody out there, is that ball is now rolling. I think with 11 states, it's 11 states now offering recreational. That is now a good percentage of the U.S. states, and those states have been doing very well. So for many of you, I do think that at some point, yes, you might want to look at these ETFs. Is now the point to buy MJ? Look, I was telling you guys before, probably not because the trend is still down, but this type of news could be that piece that instantly changes that downward trend. In full disclosure, I do have MJ right now, and I do have calls on MJ, so I'm betting that it's going to bounce to the upside. But I think it's a very, very risky play, simply because there was so much hype and euphoria about the marijuana stocks that they got very overpriced. They also had a lot of big inventory, and all of a sudden when you have a ton of inventory, demand stays the same, prices are going to have to drop there. So all of a sudden profit margins, we saw that with a couple of these companies earlier. There still are a couple of my favorites. I would say probably my favorite in the space is ACB. They've done phenomenally over the last couple of days. It's funny, we talked about this in the program when they were up I think when we did the cannabis webinar, gosh, where was that? It was probably back in May of this year. It was trading at $8. I think this is that spike where I got out of. It was like $8. I dumped out at right around $9. I was fine with it. I had it all the way down to almost $2. A huge move up in ACB here the past couple of days. Is there anything in that space that you're excited about, or are you kind of excited for it as the whole?
Well, just as a whole, I mean, I'm just back to your comment about, if you have a whole lot of inventory and no more demand, and what you're basically saying is everybody who's going to smoke dope is already smoking dope, whether it's legal or not. Okay. So, it comes down to the health industries, the health uses of it, which are phenomenal. There's absolutely no doubt about the mishandled medicines of our lifetimes, or from many of our lifetimes. So I think as a general industry, you're looking at a very, very good bet long term. Already, but as far as recreational drugs go, again, you're going to have to wait for a generational change. I mean, all us boomers, we're already smoked out, babe. We're already there.
Like Huey Lewis said, I want a new drug, right?
Yeah, there. I used to deal with the other guy's brother, really Leary. Never mind.
No, we're good. Cool. Mike, what are you up to lately? I know you're working on a ton of content. Do you do any teaching? You do any online stuff? What's your teaching schedule look like?
Well, I'm not. I interface with the mastermind community on a weekly basis, and we do all sorts of very strange things there. As you say, right now I'm acting both as a subject matter expert and as an editor on an awful lot of what you're doing in changing some of the content around. And by the way, hats off. You guys are doing a terrific job.
Thank you.
Far better stuff than I turned out as the director of education. So I'm really happy to help and be the nitpicker.
That you are.
You guys get a little mad at me, but that's my job.
Yeah. It's hey, I don't get mad at you. It's great. It's so weird. I don't know if anybody here has ever had the experience of building content or even like writing a report for school, and you read through that report or whatever I'm going to say content for what we're building, and you read through the information, I don't know, 30, 40 times to make sure that all the words are right, your bullets and your fonts and everything is great, and you go, okay, it's perfect. And then you hand it to somebody, and all of a sudden they go, that word's spelled wrong. You're like, how does that happen? I looked at it 50 times. Yeah, and you spot some stuff that just makes me cringe that I missed it. So I'm glad for your persnickety detail, and even though our students will probably never even notice that attention to detail, they appreciate it as well. Mike, thanks so much for coming on today. I appreciate it, and then give us some insights into Disney and some other areas. Appreciate it. Tell me, your mastermind community sessions is what time?
Thursdays at 8:30 Pacific, every Thursday except next one, which is Terrific Turkey Day.
Nice.
And I certainly want to wish you and all of the audience that are out there happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah.
You have a lot to be thankful for.
That we do, on the right side of the dirt. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. Until then, my friend, happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you next time.
Bye-bye now.
Bye. Guys, Mike does a mastermind community session. If you are part of the mastermind community, that's going to be Thursday at 8:30 in the morning. That one I could do. Some of these other sessions, I think Gabe Velasquez is talking about doing one at like 4 in the morning. It's a little outside of my acceptable waking hours. But 8:30, I might be able to join that one. Mike's always got some great insights into the market and a ton of trading experience over many, many years. Let's see. We have a whole bunch of comments. You guys are all over the place with comments today. Let me go into one more here. Let's see. Gayer, you always have obscure currencies. I don't know how you. This is one that I don't trade again. I will bring it up for you and we'll analyze it just because why not? We have the time. Swiss franc, Japanese yen. CHFJPY, TJ. Bring that one up for us and just look at it from a technical perspective. I'll have to actually throw on some lines here. So make that full screen so I don't look like too much of a dork staring off into space. He says 109.30 would be his buy order at 109.30. So throw that one at 109.30 or just a hair higher. There you go, 109.30, that's the buy order. We'll throw your stop loss on this chart, which is 109. Okay, I already see a little issue with that one, but that's okay. 109, and profit line is at 110.20. All right, 110.20, going to be just outside. Tell you what, I actually like it. You know why? I like it because it's just consolidating. You've looked at this thing for the better part of a month. What has it done? It's bounced totally in between those zones that you have mapped out. So you're buying that little bottom point, you're giving it just enough room to go all the way down to 109 and then play in that upper end of the range. I might reduce my target just a little bit. You notice that these, I feel like it's going to have some challenge right amongst these tails, so maybe that target gets pulled down just a little bit, maybe to 110.10 or somewhere in there, just before it gets to that point that we've seen it turn around all the time in the past. So I like it. You know, I normally don't trade Swiss franc Japanese yen. It's not on my list, but who cares, right? The chart showing that this thing's just bouncing back and forth. What I will say here is you got to be very careful because there's always this, the nature of the beast is to do something and then to not do something. I know it sounds ambiguous, but look at the price chart right here from October. You have a huge impulse move. It was, what, 8 days in a row, just nothing but big green candles for Swiss franc, Japanese yen, and all of a sudden it's just traversing sideways. In my experience, and a lot of the stats I've read, is like the longer that something traverses sideways, the more powerful the breakout is. So be careful, because if you're in this one right now, you're near the bottom end of the range. Just adhere to that stop loss at 109 that you have in place, because it could rip very quickly and blow right through this. And it's been consolidating for some time. Well, you can see here on the charts. Notice back here, similar picture, right? It consolidated for a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden, one day, whammo, big old fast candle to the south side. So just keep that in mind. All in all, I wouldn't say it's the best trade in the world, but not bad, right? You're just playing a consolidation range. You could also, sell the highs, buy the lows, pretty much. Awesome. All right, Gayer, got that one out of the way. Woohoo! I actually got to a question on the final segment of the show. I love it. What time we got, TJ? All right, let's go to, real quick, Goldilocks sent this one in. It says, in your interview with Michelle Amato, who, by the way, Dave, I think you were talking about, she is your instructor. Yeah, Dave Colonna says Michelle Amato is his instructor in Atlanta for futures. Lucky man. I hope that you gleaned from that interview I did with her. She's awesome. She's just this down-to-earth girl. You never see someone like that and you peg her as being a badass futures trader. And she is. Her level of experience in the markets is incredible, not only from the I'm using him as a producer, her commodity perspective, but now really looking at it from the trading world. So she has a wealth of experience. So I'm glad you're enjoying her class out there. Goldilocks says, in your interview with Michelle Amato, she mentioned gold producers were buying lots of shorts a few weeks ago. Don Dawson also brought that point up on the program. She seemed to indicate short GC and supply zones way south. I think you're talking about demand zones way south. Yes, it was really looking at those producers buying a lot of shorts, buying protection, and basically locking in the price of their gold, right? And it should make sense that if you see the people who are extracting it from the ground are all of a sudden selling and locking in profit, that's a belief that it's not going to go much higher. And certainly the producers aren't the only ones who dictate where the price of commodities go, but you would think, no offense, they probably have more intelligence on that asset class than I do or you do, right? That's all they're doing. So yes, I do agree with her and Don Dawson and others who've been on the program talking about the producers buying a ton of shorts. I haven't looked at the commitment of traders recently, but yes, I would be looking at demand zones to buy into gold here, because there's a certain point that those gold producers will probably close out those shorts and be buying back into the long side. It's just buying, selling high and buying back in low. Producers are going to do something very similar to what we're trying to do, which is time those markets, sell high, buy low. All right, TJ, bring me up our economic calendar for Friday, November 22nd. Is it really what it is? So it's the 22nd tomorrow? Man, time is just screaming through. We have a fairly busy day for the U.S. As you can see, we've got 4 announcements on the board: flash manufacturing, flash services, and then University of Michigan consumer sentiment, as well as inflation expectations. For the euro, you have flash manufacturing and services, PMI, and for Canada, you have retail sales and their unemployment rate. And, of course, that's the core retail sales as well when you take out transportation. Moving on to your earnings calendar, you got JM Smuckers, in case you find yourself in a jam. You got Foot Locker, in case you want to run around. RMR, no idea, so I can't make some cheesy pun for that one. Buckle is reporting earnings, as well as Stealth Gas. Did you guys see that? Nope, that was Stealth Gas. Weekend edition show is going to be with the Ambassador of Opportunity, John O'Donnell. If you would like to send John some questions or myself, you can always send those on in at powertradingradio.com. Hit that Power Blast button, get those on into us here in the studio. John is no guest tomorrow, but who knows what we'll talk about. We'll probably look at all the Power Blasts that come in tonight, take those questions, and gear that show around that. But, of course, you guys always tend to steer the content anyway, so keep on the comments and questions. If you'd like to know more about options or futures or Forex or commodities, let us know. You can you can click that link, actually, that Joanne's posting in your social media channels right now. You click on that one, you type in your zip code, it'll tell you which of our physical locations are nearest you. There are 50 of them, but if you're not near one of those 50 centers, don't worry. As Mike mentioned, we just finished some self-paced, on-demand content, which you can take anywhere, anytime, even your little phone over here if you like. So you can find out more information by clicking that link. Until then, happy trading, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.